Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At-Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay-at-home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight, got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet, cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Home Dad Chat. I am one of your hosts, Brock, and I've got my good buddy Danny with me. How you doing tonight, Danny?
What's up? Doing great, Brock. Doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very geeked and stoked for tonight's conversation with a very special guest who has. I keep telling people about this, but I kind of feel like he's sort of like the father of this whole creation of what we're all involved in right now with the National At-Home Dad Network in a lot of ways. So, did you have a good week?
Yeah, overall, I had a good week. You know, I got my second COVID shot, so I had a little bit of unnecessary sleep. Was really just kind of tired the whole time, and didn't get like flu symptoms or anything, but just like very lethargic. And I kind of blamed it on a lot of it's pollen, old age, whatever it is. But a friend of mine said, "Well, you just got your second COVID shot. Isn't that it?" And I went, "Oh, yeah. This is why I have smart friends, and so they can tell me these things, and I can remember what it is." But yeah, but other than that, doing good. Kids are all doing great.
That's awesome.
Had a lot of a couple really big announcements in the family and things like that. So yeah, it's all been good.
Yeah, man, it's been good for me too. I got my second shot actually yesterday, so today was a little sleepy. I equate it to just like your kids get a shot and they're tired and kind of sleepy, that kind of deal. I was in the same way. By half of the day, I was ready to go and got up and got around, cut my hair. So I've got no hair now.
Good job. Good job. Looks professional.
It's getting hot, man. I mean, is this like you grab it and pull it up? I'm like, I just don't really feel like, grabbing my hair. I feel like I'm pulling it out when my kids.
I get it. I get it. Bald is beautiful, man. It's the best way to be.
I'll take it. But yeah, so and then just kind of getting ramped up for tonight's show. So it was a good day, and last week was good. My wife actually put in for a job where she'd actually would move kind of up in the position that she's at. So kind of just
cool.
A lot of prayer going into hopefully that coming around well for us, because it would be a huge bump for our family. So we'll see how that goes. And
that's great.
Huge responsibility for her to walk into, which she's excited and nervous about, which I think is the only way to be when you're going to move into a new position at work. So,
and she didn't she have a birthday?
She did, yeah. Sunday,
like last week or so.
Yeah, on Sunday she had a birthday, and so it was.
Well, let me clarify. I only know that because Facebook tells me. I'm not stalking you or your wife. I just saw it, and I think I even wished her happy birthday on Facebook. But then you talked about it, so that'd be a really, really good late birthday present. Let's get a new job or a new promotion, I should say.
Yeah, she put in for that, and she went on a camping trip, and so I was me and the kids all weekend long, and we had a good time, and it was good.
Nice.
The house is still standing, so but we did a lot of yard work. It was a nice weekend, so I got a lot done out in the garden. But well, hey, tonight, folks, we have just a really special guest. I am a big historian buff, and I love to track down origin stories of things. And I believe I've tracked down the origin story of the National At-Home Dad Network. And I hope I'm not embarrassing Pete by bringing that up that way. But I really feel like just with everything that I've learned from talking to him, that's kind of where things are. So tonight we have Pete Baylies with us, and I found your name, Pete, through, I believe it was an article maybe on like Oprah.com where someone named you as like the director of the National At-Home Dad Network. I was like, I don't even know who this guy is. Yeah. And so I done some digging from that point and was able to find you on Facebook. And so I was really excited when you responded, and it just took multiple months after that for us to just finally connect and do anything. But so Pete Baylies, welcome to the show, man. How are you doing?
Good to be on. Good detective work. I'm impressed. The only guy probably in 10 years to find me. So you found me. I'm impressed.
It's all good. Well, hey, you're not in like, any kind of like home security thing where you're like trying to hide from us.
No. I'm here.
Awesome. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it was really cool to track you down and get a chance to hear just kind of who you were, because I wasn't sure. And I asked a lot of different people, and everybody's like, I don't know who that name was. And it wasn't until I talked to Al Watts that he was like, oh yeah, I know Pete. Yeah. And I was like, all right, well, I must be on the right track. If Al knows you, like that's a good sign.
Yeah, that is a good sign. Yeah.
Just so that people can kind of understand. So Pete, you became an at-home dad when? What year was it?
1995. I had a son, John. I dug up a few photos. So this is my son, John.
Oh,
nice. How old is
Hey,
he?
kid,
Oh, look, that baby.
I don't know, 8 months, 1 year, whatever. I was working for a computer company called Digital Equipment. You probably never heard of this company, but
No.
they grew too fast. They had 120,000 employees at one time. They laid everybody off, including me. I came home and my wife is a school teacher and she wanted to keep working. I wanted to stay home and I ended up taking care of John right away. He was in daycare for maybe 3 months, 4 months. And, she didn't like it and I didn't like it. And I decided to stay home. I was getting some unemployment.
That sounds like a lot of the stories you hear from a lot of the guys in our Facebook group and that are members of the organization. Like they, seems like a constant. Hey, there was this opportunity for a switch in roles or something like that. So
I was
really
home
cool.
and she was taking a 3-hour nap during the day, so I had nothing to do.
Nice.
So I used to be, before I worked for Digital, I was a photographer, a news photographer. And I had some journalism experience in college. I decided to put a newsletter together for Dad to stay at home. There was nothing out there. So my first issue, spring of 1994, just like that.
Look at that. Yes. Yes.
Oh, there it is, the hard copy issue.
And I love it. It's beginning a new
That's
career.
awesome.
Title.
Very small. My sister made little illustrations there for you.
I love it.
8 pages, that's it. And I just sent it to a printer, had them print it out, and
Nice.
mailed it out to, I had no subscribers, so I mailed it out to the media for Father's Day, and they just picked it up and started interviewing me, and I got some more subscribers. So it just went from there, really.
So when you say that the media, you sent it out to the media, like, was it just local media there in the Massachusetts area, or were you sending it out nationally?
I sent it out to TV stations, all the magazines, and within 6 months, they were doing feature stories on me and my wife. Probably with CNBC, USA Today, Life magazine, was interviewing Bob Frank. After a couple of years, I had about 500 subscribers. So there was pretty much one in every state. So if they wanted to interview somebody from their state, I just gave them a name. They interviewed me, and it just kind of blew up.
How did you? So were you like charging a fee for subscription?
$12 for 4 issues quarterly. Okay. I'm lazy, so I didn't want to do it every month.
I get that. So
I did it every 3 months.
What I love most about it so far, other than you being an at-home dad, being you want to be with your kid rather than putting them in daycare, which is glorious, and we all love that, I think. But more than that is when you were talking about starting the newsletter, you said specifically because there wasn't one. There wasn't anything out there, and I think that's a big thing that a lot of at-home dads find, and just in general, like, well, there's not anything, we'll make it. If this isn't what you want, or you can't find what you want, okay, well then start it, get it going. So for you to have that ambition and that drive, even if it's only 4 issues a year, that's 8 pages of material. And as Brock and I will probably agree on this, just getting a once a month digital newsletter together can be a lot of effort and work. So I applaud you. I mean, even just 4 times, no, that's amazing. That's good work.
Yeah, it was fun. I interviewed a lot of dads over the phone. I did stories about dads that worked at home with their kids at home. So there was all kinds of occupations that they had when they went home. Like one guy would, did birthday parties with puppets, and he took a kid with him. And so there was a lot of stuff with it. They involved their children. Another dad was a disc jockey, and they would help out with the music and whatever. I just found jobs like that.
That's awesome. That's so
they
cool.
They really did all the work. I just, interviewed them, wrote the story and just sent it out.
How long did you do the newsletter?
I did it for 7 years. The first one was, I don't even remember, 1994. So I did it for 6, 7 years till 2001, 2002.
Okay. And then did you go digital after that?
I did a very bad website on Angel Fire. You saw it.
I know. I had to bring it up, man. I had to bring it up because you were like, "Hey, I did this thing on Angel Fire." I'm like, "Oh wow, we got to bring up the relic."
Right.
Like it's vintage, you know.
Yeah, it's classic. It's classic. There's nothing wrong with that. That's good.
And then everybody did a blog on. Then there were hundreds and hundreds of blogs on At Home Dads. So then I was done after that. Then they took over, you know. After a couple of years, Bob Frank called me, the guy that you haven't talked to yet.
Yeah.
And he wanted to do a convention of dads. So I had about 600 subscribers by then. And he sent them all $1 to fill out a survey. And
Wow.
Nice.
they did the survey. We got about probably 80 guys at the first convention.
That's
wow.
awesome.
Cool.
In Chicago. So we did it in Chicago every year.
Were the guys, was it just local guys or did guys come from all over the country?
Oh, they came from all over. Most of them were from Chicago, like maybe half. And then there was a bunch from surrounding states.
Okay.
We had keynote speakers. We had Brian Bassett, who does the At Home Dad cartoon called Dad at Home. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No, that's not. I don't think I've heard of that.
But I'm going to look it
up. Where is that? Was that in a newspaper or something?
Yeah, it's in the news. He's like a syndicated guy. His name is Brian Bassett.
Okay.
And I contacted him and I said, Can I put your cartoon in my newsletter?" He said, "Sure, for free." So
That's
I
awesome.
just pick one out every month and he put one in there.
So who was the one that planned the convention? Was it you and Frank, or were there more people involved?
I had nothing. Robert Frank contacted me, and I just gave him my subscribers, and he just took over from there.
Oh wow.
Well, he did all the work. He did everything. So
Okay.
he'll be a good guy to talk to.
Yeah, it sounds like he's sort of the originator of what is now considered HomeDadCon.
Definitely.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he took over. His son Kevin helped him do the work with the survey.
Okay.
And we did a convention every year for 10 years. And then we passed it over to you guys, and you took over.
Yeah.
Watt took it over.
Yeah, not us guys.
Yeah,
you
you
pass
pass
it
it
over to us guys. I've got maybe 7 years, I think, going to the convention. But I know Al, and I know, like a couple other people I've met and talked to.
Mhm.
It's really an amazing. I have to say, for us, of course, convention, everything changes. As you grow, as you learn things, as you want more things or whatever.
Mhm.
But for me, I have to say the camaraderie of it, being able to get together with other at-home dads, it's a lifesaver. It's a game changer, and it's a lifesaver. I cannot say where I would be right now if I hadn't gone to that first convention, and just all the friends that I made and the people that I met, and just being able to talk to people about my kids without them thinking I'm weird or something, it was amazing. And I sincerely, I told you earlier, I'm very honored that you're here on the show and just kind of like Brock said, just geeking out. I'm like, oh, no way, you can't, you really? So again, we really appreciate you being here and all you've done for the organization.
Well, if it wasn't for dads like you, they did this work, spent time with their kids, this wouldn't have happened.
Mhm.
So, there was a lot of dad came out of the woodwork. A lot of the publicity helped. I think dad, they were on the fence, maybe saying, hey, maybe I could do this, other dads doing it. And when I started the At Home Dad Network, I just printed their name and email addresses in the newsletter in the middle of it, like 6-point type, and I have 12, probably, about 300 or 400 dads in there. And then out of that, Playgroup came out of it. And the Chicago Playgroup, the New York City Playgroup, and they just kind of blossomed from there. So they just took off. So
oh wow.
I just kind of lit the fuse, and you guys did everything else.
So have you had any connection or contact with the City Dads group? Do you know what that is?
I have not. Nope.
So,
I know it started from the newsletter, but I don't know. I have no idea what they're doing now.
yeah, it was City Dads. Basically, was two guys who transitioned out of being teachers to be stay-at-home dads, and they were like, hey, let's get together and hang out. And then they started meeting other guys, and it was just the New York group. And then one of the guys from New York was like, hey, we're moving out west, can we do a City Dads group out there? And now they've got 41 City Dads groups all around the country and one in Canada. So they got one up in Toronto. So yeah, that's
what the list looks like called the At Home Dad Network.
Oh, wow.
Got all these names, all public,
That's
nothing,
awesome.
and then he just went from there. So
That's really cool.
yeah.
That's very cool. Absolutely. Yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
I do want to ask before I forget about it. How old is John now?
He's
Your son?
27. 29.
27.
My wife is over here.
Late 20s. It doesn't
I'm the
matter.
fact checker.
Yeah.
That's my wife too. She's totally the fact checker. She keeps me straight. She keeps me on the straight, as she says.
Which make David 26.
Six.
Yeah, David 26.
Okay. Awesome.
That's great.
This is them a little bit older.
On the piano
Here we
bench.
go.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, that's great.
And they're both
great.
musicians. They live in New
Mhm.
York now. They work for a company called Eventide. They do
All right.
music software now.
Oh, cool. They work together.
Yeah, they work for the same company.
Oh, that's cool.
It worked out.
That's really cool.
Yeah, we just visited them in New York, so just came back.
Mhm.
So you wrote a book as well called the Stay-at-Home Dad Handbook. When did that come in to the picture?
Well, the articles I was writing after about 6 years were starting to duplicate themselves. I was writing about playgroup. I was writing about how to start a playgroup, how to work at home, dad that get divorced, and how they deal with that. And there was like probably 8 or 9 different recurring themes that came up over and over and over. So I ran out of things to write in the newsletter because it was the same type of stuff over and over. So I figured I'd make a book out of it.
Okay. That's awesome. Did you self-publish it, or was there a company that published it for you?
Under the company Chicago Review Press.
Oh, okay.
I got it right here. Chicago Review Press. The book right here.
Oh, cool.
So ended up, what I did was I took excerpts from the newsletter and, managed to make about 12 chapters out of it.
Nice.
And I got contacted by a couple of agents that saw me on TV and, said, you want to put something together. Who was it? Paul Reiser, I think, had written a book about dad.
Okay.
Bill Cosby. Sorry.
You're fine.
Yeah. He did have his moment.
Jail.
It's all good.
But they were my competition.
Oh,
So
wow.
they're like, really a celebrity. So I don't know if we're gonna, but the woman that wanted to publish my book would go to meetings in New York, and she had it in her, pocketbook or whatever. And one guy said, "We need a book on at-home dad," and it was all ready to go. And they said, "Okay, we'll do it." So.
Hey, I tell you, if you're up there on the pedestal, fighting against Bill Cosby and Paul Reiser, I think that's pretty good, man.
That's some big dogs for sure.
Yeah, right. Well, and that's it's interesting that you wrote that book. We actually, one of our friends within the National At Home Dad Network is getting ready to he's getting ready to launch through Penguin this October his new book, or his first book actually,
Nice.
which he interviewed a whole bunch of the dads in the Facebook group to get their parts of it. But he wrote the Ultimate Stay-at-Home Dads Manual is what they ended up titling it.
Nice.
And so me and a bunch of other guys are in there and stuff. And so I'm excited to get to finally to see that when it comes out. But when you had said that you wrote that, I was like, oh, cool. Like there's these like two different, it's like from back in the day when you were doing it and now like almost a more like up-to-date version of it type of deal, which is really, I'm going to have to get a hold of yours so that I can like compare the two. Cause I'm curious to see like just what all like translated from all the years that, past to now kind of deal.
Well, I looked it up online while you were talking. I have to do that sometimes. I just like, whoa, before I forget about that. So yeah, but I love the overview. It looks really good. And I love too, the language is very well done for what would be the more, I guess, like, I don't know if I want to say man-centric language or things like that, but basically I love one of the descriptions talking about it. Well, it's about networking in a female-oriented community. And that's just, and it's still what it is. Everything that it appears that you're going over is still pretty relevant, which is because the job hasn't changed much. We're more digital, we're less in person perhaps, but we still run into those same things. And whether it's you mentioned being overwhelmed by cleaning, and I'm like, yeah, I feel that so hard, or whatever it is, but it all looks really good. And I'm actually going to get myself a copy later, just to let you know. So it looks great.
I'll make $1. They give me $1 for every book I sell.
Really?
You just get back the dollars that you gave out to get all this, or that I guess Robert Frank gave out all the dollars to get all the surveys.
Here's $1.
I think you can buy it on Amazon for like a penny. So
oh jeez. Oh man. Well, and two, so did you also get something published in Women's Day magazine? I know you mentioned something about that a while back.
Oh yeah. When I sent out all the advertisements, press releases, they were the first ones to print a little blurb in there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, 7 or 8 million circulation, and I wrote in there, write to me, I'll send you a free issue, which is kind of a mistake. So,
did you get pretty? Was that pretty busy?
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
So we were getting 40, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 letters a day.
Whoops.
Sending free issues, and then I got subscribers out of that. So
I
didn't make a whole lot of money out of it, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Your mailman's like coming up to the door and he's like, "Here's a stack."
We had one subscriber who had a handicapped kid that I had written an article about, and the only time he was happy when took him swimming, and he was his name is Hogan Hilling. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, Hogan is well known. There's actually an award that we give out every year named after him, the Hogan Hilling Award.
Yep. Awesome.
Nice.
So he ended up on the producer that Oprah saw the article about him and his son. He went on Oprah and she gave him a van.
Oh wow.
Handicapped van for him.
Yeah.
Worked out real nice.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's pretty wild. Okay.
Yep. Have you had him on, Hogan?
We haven't had Hogan on. Like I said, we definitely like have an award that we give out every year to a person who has, just kind of gone above and beyond and like volunteering their time for the organization for the year. And yeah, that's been a really neat thing. But yeah, I'm kind of hoping that maybe, like, we're hoping that for the 25th anniversary, which is it's happening here in Cincinnati this year, that a lot of guys that were a part of the original might, just even if they came down for a day just to be like, hey, what's up? Like, we're hoping that a lot of folks would maybe come down and do that sort of thing. So, but yeah, I'm kind of hoping that he would, because I haven't actually met him in person. I hear a lot about him.
I think he was at the first convention. I think he was at the first one.
Okay.
He was at my first convention too, for what it's worth. And I mean, I was overwhelmed. I didn't know anybody. I was like, who are you? Okay, that's cool. Am I supposed to know you? I don't know who any of you people are, but he was very nice, came up, and I think he did put one of the presentations or something, or was announcing or something like that. And that's how I heard his name. But it was obvious when he got down and started walking around, there were so many people that were just like, shaking his hand, saying hi. And he's just very, just seemed to be very gregarious and just open to everybody. I wasn't ready to talk to anybody yet at that point, because I was kind of like, I don't know, are you people all crazy? How are you doing this? I don't know how to do this. How are you doing this? But it was really neat to see him, and he's written a book now too.
Yeah, him and Al wrote a book together, I believe.
Yeah,
him
and Al. So
yeah, there's a bunch of guys that have gotten articles and books written.
And then Brian Dixon, do you know that name?
I've had no.
He passed away of cancer in 2007, but the organization, just before he passed, had made up a scholarship fund in his name. So we have what's called the Brian Dixon Scholarship, and basically the way it works is that a portion of ticket sales for HomeDadCon, or if you just want to even just like donate to that specific fund, goes into the scholarship, where guys who maybe they're like, I can't afford a plane ticket, but I really want to come, or I can't afford hotel stay or something along those lines, anything where it's like, I'm just financially strapped. Like, I would love to come, but I just financially can't do it. They have the ability to put in an application, or even be nominated by someone else, like, hey, like, I've been talking to this guy and he really wants to come, but he's at a place where he just he's humble, he doesn't want to ask for it, and so I want to put him up for nomination. We've had guys who they get surprised, like, hey, by the way, like, we're going to take care of everything, you get to come to the convention, that kind of deal. And it's all because people have been able to do that. Yeah.
That's great.
So we actually did in Minneapolis. It was funny. We pitted two guys together. One guy was from Chicago. I don't remember where Jay's from, but they did a hot dog, or what was a hot dog? It was ketchup versus mustard. And so the guy from Chicago, he was against ketchup. He hated it. He didn't want it on anything. The other guy didn't like mustard. And so they had a deal where it was like you could give money and build up, kind of build up which side. And at the end, whoever lost was going to have to eat the hot dog with the condiment that they hated the most. And it was so funny because we had so many guys get involved with it before the convention, and they were going to actually like announce who won at the end, that it ended up when they got there at the convention, guys were like, well, how close is it? And we told them, and all these other guys started putting money in. And I think in the end, like we raised like $2,500. And 1,500 of it was literally given to us in cash at the convention for making these guys. And the best part was is that they both agreed that if we raised like this certain amount of money, they would both eat a hot dog with the condiment that they didn't like. And so we have this like amazing video of the two of them like eating these hot dogs, and it's hilarious. But we raised so much money for the scholarship. It was cool. I do want to get back to one thing. So the first 10 conventions were in Chicago, and you were talking a little bit about sort of what things were involved with that. And you mentioned keynote speakers and stuff like that. Was it just like keynote speakers and then like, hey, we're just going to round up together in a table and just kind of talk about that? Or was there other program? What was sort of like the setup for the day for that get together?
It was very, the very first one, very grassroots. We had a guy named Kyle Pruitt. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he was a professor at Yale who had written a bunch of articles. So we had him as a keynote speaker. I think I was the first keynote speaker, the first convention. And then we had him, we had Brian Bassett. But we did have a lot of groups separated we had like one about play groups, one about, like different things I'd write about in my newsletter. One about how to work at home with your kids at home. One about being an at-home dad and marriage, at-home dad and divorce. Different subjects like that. And
so you had breakout sessions basically.
Yeah, we did. And like we get like 2 to 10 guys in a session, and they would just break out into different rooms, and we'd have two sessions every couple hours.
Okay.
Convention ran for 2 days, so they stay overnight, and then at night we'd hang out at some bar somewhere.
Yeah.
Drink, have fun.
Oh yeah.
Then the next day we'd have a few more sessions, and that was it. So we just wing it for a couple of days. And the biggest thing was just for them to be together.
Yeah.
And validate what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean that's really what still goes on to this day, honestly. Guys, so we do Friday and Saturday. We have a kickoff on Thursday nights. On Thursday night, where actually one of the guys who got in contact with us through another convention called the Dad 2.0 Summit, which is like dad bloggers and content creators and stuff. But he was like, hey, I'm going to be starting this thing up called Father's Eve, and it's the night before Father's Day, and I'd like y'all to get involved with it and kind of just host your own party. And then he was like, he gave some money to the convention to be able to put on what basically is now called Convention Eve. And it's sort of like a kind of, for some people, it's a introductory into what they do for Father's Eve. And then Friday is just different programming, keynote speakers, breakout sessions, hang out at night. Same thing on Saturday. We do a group photo on Saturday afternoon. We even do some like extracurriculars like on Thursday morning for anybody who's coming in like a little bit early. So we've done photo walking tours of the area where we've been, which have been really fun. Minnesota, we did a soccer game, not on Thursday night, but on Wednesday night for some that came in earlier. So that was really cool. We had I think we had 40 guys easily that went to that. Group. It was a huge group. It was so much fun. We've had guys show up. Like I showed up early in Orlando and went kayaking down a river with alligators with one of the former keynote speakers from Portland, who actually was on Naked and Afraid and is a stay-at-home dad. and
nice.
he's an outdoor guide down there. And so, yeah, he was like, yeah, come down early. He's like, we'll go down the river. And so we had a blast. I went with another buddy. I went with other few buddies of mine from the group. And one guy was a photographer, and we captured like the whole adventure, and 12-foot alligators like just hanging out on the side of the river and stuff.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
But yeah, I mean, just stuff like that. I mean, those are the things that have really bonded all the guys together. We started doing annual board retreats, and for the lunch portion, we actually use Facebook Live, and we'll go on there and let people like ask questions and see what we're doing and stuff, which is really fun. That's actually how I got introduced to the whole organization. Was I had moved out of my job, and because childcare was ridiculously expensive, and I came home early from work, and my wife was like, hey, just pour a bourbon, light a cigar, and just enjoy like that, that kind of last day sort of retirement type of deal. And I pulled up on Facebook the guys doing the convention or the board retreat, and that's when I started hearing about like HomeDadCon and all this other stuff. And that was pretty much the gateway drug for me to get involved at that point.
I'll say for me, Pete, I just have to tell you that the work that you did and the work that all the guys did, really, so many dads that came before us, so to speak, you don't recognize it until you really get in the organization, and you start seeing and meeting dads that have been, I mean, to think that there was an at-home dad 30 years ago or what? No, nobody did that. I mean, when I started maybe 12, 13 years ago now, I had no idea that there was an at-home dad anywhere in the world. I didn't think that was a thing. It's just something that I never had encountered. But you mentioned, and Brock mentioned too, the validation that you get from going to the convention, the validation really that we get now these days. We have it a little bit easier because we do have like the Facebook page and our social media accounts and the places where you can go and talk to another dad just like you, right? And just, I mean, running into the same exact problems and these things that are making you shave your head, making all your hair fall out, but there are dads out there that are dealing with it, that have dealt with it. There are dads that have dealt with it, 15, 20 years ago, and they still remember and can give you that wisdom and that advice and that community that you really need in this job. And I have to say again, for you and for all of the dads that really started this and got this going and made this network available for people like me today, I'm very, very grateful. And it's still going on. It's really just you threw a rock in the pond and the ripples are just going and going. And I really thank you for that.
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys, picking it up and keeping it going. So keep it going.
Yeah, I mean,
great.
We just do the podcast, really. That's our biggest thing, but there's a lot of guys involved in doing some great work for sure. And
now, do you do the podcast once a week or? Yeah,
once a week. We've consistently put it out, minus the spring break that 1 week, but other than that, we've put out 22 episodes so far. And it was sort of one of those things. Danny was like, man, I really want to do a podcast where we just like talk about what's going on in the stay-at-home dad world. And I was like, sweet, let's do it. And I'd already had my own current single podcast that I'd been doing for a few years. So I was like, yeah, man, I'll jump on board with you. Let's do this thing. So that's how it all got started.
So you're the first podcast partner.
We are the first podcast. Well, not actually. So we're the first one that's through the organization itself. There was actually another one that was prior to that had some other guys from out of the organization, but it kind of fizzled away. They all kind of got busy doing their thing. So, but this is the first one that's actually backed by the National At-Home Dad Network.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Keep it going. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And then we have a monthly webinar that we also do as well. That started up just last year. When the pandemic hit, we were like, man, how do we connect with everybody now? Cause we got to figure something out. And so we had a guy on cause all the kids were home. And there were guys who were like, how am I going to do this? Like, I've never been a homeschool dad. Like, what do I got to do? And so we brought a guy in, and he, one of the guys from our group, and he just presented about like what he does with his kids and gave everybody a really nice, kind of clear, I would consider it a clear cut view of, hey, this is what you're going to be getting into. These are ways to kind of move through the day and make it not so chunky and really try to make it as smooth as possible for you guys. And, that was sort of the kicker to it. And Matt Strain, who he's on the board now as well, he's been running with it for over a year now. and it's been excellent. He's had some amazing people on and talked about all kinds of different topics. So we put that stuff on YouTube as well as you can catch it live when they happen. So we're actually coming up it'll be this coming Monday, the 23rd. So it'll probably be it'll be the day we post this. That afternoon, they have a lady coming on to talk about the talk and how dads can feel comfortable having that conversation with their kids. So, so that's going to be really cool. Yeah. So that's going to be really cool. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's been a really, truly an honor, like Danny said, to have you on the show and just to sort of get an origin story of kind of where things came from to where things are now. And honestly, I mean, I know that I talked to you about this prior, but I mean, I'll just put it out there one more time. Like I'd love to see you show up to Cincinnati and be there for the celebration of the 25th and to be able to share a lot of the stories and let guys get a chance to meet you in person and just have that experience. So if there's anything that we can do to get you there, let me know. Like reach out to me on the side and we'll talk about it.
We'll see.
So
thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it. I'm glad you guys are picking up the ball and keeping it going. And great to meet you, Brock and Danny. And you guys are awesome. Keep doing it. Keep doing it.
Thank you. Thank you, Pete. Thank you.
And thanks everybody for tuning in and listening to the show today. And we'll catch you all next week with another new fun show. Have a good one.
All right. See you later, Danny. Bye, Brock.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.